Hey, welcome back to the channel. I appreciate your time watching today. Have you ever been frustrated with the fact that you need to have some garden tools at the house, but you really only use them once or twice a year? Now you're glad to have them when you do have the need to use it, but you know, if you're like a lot of folks, these get stacked up in the corner, get into kind of a messy scenario. I'm going to show you a very quick, easy, and super cheap way to organize your garden tools that you use infrequently in that dead space that's above your garage door when the door is open. I've only got a little better than 8-foot ceilings in my garage, so I don't have a ton of room here, but this little solution could be just what you're looking for to get those infrequently used, but good to have when you need them, tools available to you when you do need them. Thanks for tuning. Let's get into it. All right, so you're gonna see me use some tools that you may or may not have at your house, but don't worry, there's a lot of this that you could get some help with. As an example, this project is made of plywood and mine is already built. And today I'm just gonna recreate an example of how to do it and just to demonstrate how easy it is. So what we're gonna do is cut for each pair. You need a pair of these to accept the handle of a rake, as an example. And so what I'm gonna do is cut 2 6-inch wide strips of plywood and then a couple of 2-inch wide strips of plywood. And this is just scrap that I had laying here and have decided to use it for this demonstration. But if you don't have a table saw, this can be done with a circular saw and a guide, or you could also, if you go to the home store where you're going to buy this wood, a lot of times they have a cutting service where if you ask them, hey, I need, you know, this cut into 6-inch strips, and you can, you know, do it long ways, so an 8-foot long piece, or short ways of a 4-inch one. Okay, so again, as you saw from the opening picture, and I'll put that again down in a picture-in-picture environment, you need 2 of these. One is the front and one is the back, so that as you pass a tool handle through the first one, the second one is there to support it completely. So that's what this is going to be, and then this is how you're going to attach it to your rafters that are up in your ceiling. And definitely want you to attach these to rafters and not drywall anchors or anything like that. These should really go into your roof rafters in your garage or whatever space you're going to put these in. And we're simply going to attach once we cut the shapes in, we're just simply going to attach this attachment piece to your ceiling to the support piece for the tools. As you'll see, it's going to be very simple. And again, if you need help getting these cut, oftentimes if you buy your plywood at a big box store, they'll assist you with cutting it into you know, the sizes that you need. Might be a small fee for that, but if you don't have the tool, it's a very effective way to get the job done. Okay, so I'm going to draw on here just a rough idea of how I have gone about it in my case. So you can use many different tools to get this job done, but what we want to end up with is essentially an oval shape about halfway down the distance, however long you decide to make yours, and another one over here. And what that's going to do is give you a nice support here in the center and down at the end with your openings for your tool handles. And again, I made mine 8 feet wide. Again, this is just for demonstration purposes to show you how easily you can do this. All right, so I have found just a couple of random round objects, and what I'm gonna do is just eyeball it and see what I think, you know, is gonna look about the best. And I feel like this can here is a good size for me to use, so I'm gonna line it up on my 2-inch mark. And I'm just gonna give myself a nice chance to see this line. Going to be making several of these. So now again, I have 2 inches preserved in the center of the board. Gonna move across, leaving again my 2 inches. And listen, I'm just eyeballing this. You don't have to get crazy about making it perfect alignment. You're gonna be shoving shovels and rakes in these holes. So really wouldn't suggest you make it look lousy on purpose, but just recognizing that this is just a piece of organizational equipment for your storage purposes. All right, so now I have a bunch of half circles. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, again, just use what I've got, which is this straight edge here. And I'm now going to connect the tops of those half circles with a straight line. And this is just so that I can cut them with some reasonable amount of accuracy with a jigsaw. But now what you can see is that I've got a circle, straight line, circle, straight line, creating this oval. We're going to be taking this out. All right, so we're going to go after our first one, and I'm going to try to bring this camera in. I'm going to go get my jigsaw. All right, so for this step, we've got 2 things. I've got a drill, and I think this is just a 3/8 inch drill. It's very commonly available. And then a jigsaw. That's how we're going to cut the first one out. So the first thing you have to do is create an entry point for your jigsaw. So we're just going to drill a simple hole. As soon as I tighten my chuck. Okay. And the thing I want you to remember, this is going to be 8 feet in the air, and really nobody's going to be looking at it but you. So take your time, be safe, but don't sweat it if your cut does not look like a piece of furniture. So we now have the first portion cut out. Obviously, jigsaw is going to leave a certain amount of finish here. So a quick bit of sandpaper. Again, you're going to be putting a shovel in this, so I don't know that I'd spend too much time worrying about, you know, the ultimate finish. Okay, so now at this point, you have your 2 pieces, and you know, a quick hit with some sandpaper, which we'll do that right now. You can use a random orbital sander. You could use a piece of hand sandpaper with a block or something, or you could just mount it up there the way it is. Okay, fabulous. My camera decided to shut off. So at any rate, you could put a lot of care into making these. You can round over these edges if you have a handheld, you know, palm router or something with a round over bit, which wouldn't be a bad idea. You could just hand sand those. Whatever you're into, you know, the sky's the limit. This is your project, so knock yourself out, I say. So the next piece is, what we would do is mount these now. So let's do that. Now you will need just a little bit of wood glue. You don't have to have a nail gun, but if you have one, it sure makes it handy. And what we're gonna do is just lay a bead of glue all along the back edge of your mounting piece. This is what's going to mount to your roof joists. or I guess rafters, excuse me. So what I'm going to do is just lay this up, get really good contact, line the pieces up. This nail is just for holding it temporarily. Naturally, I'm out of nails. You know, just some brad nails are, you know, going to be fine to hold this together until you sink some screws in it. Just gonna line up this back edge just for aesthetics. And I'm just going to put a few nails in here to hold things together. Some alternate way you could glue it: stand it up, put on your base piece, get her close to positioned. Tack one end in place. Go down to your opposite end, line everything up. Okay, so now at this point you have two tool holding brackets, and what you're going to do, what I would recommend, is that you sink some screws every 6 or 8 inches from the top of this plate down into your tool holder. So let me show you that. So something that we should talk about is that you should certainly pre-drill and countersink these screws, and so this is a countersink drill bit. Hopefully it'll focus in there. So it's not only going to pre-drill it, but this area here is going to create a countersink. So again, this being just a demonstration piece, I'm just going to sink 4 of these in here. Making sure that I am going to make contact with the plywood underneath. You can draw yourself a line if that would help you. So those are pre-drilled and countersunk. And now we're just going to put these in. And these screws are going to give you all the clamping force that you need. Because really the glue is going to be doing the majority of the work here. And don't beat these things to death. Meaning don't just hammer, hammer, hammer. You know, once they're tight, they're tight. You want to just use these as clamps, essentially, to let that glue go to work. And the glue is going to be, you know, the lion's share of the strength here. Okay, so now at this point, now in my garage, my rafters, you know, run perpendicular to the length of my garage. So typically speaking, you can find in your garage a rafter, right? And then you want to put this in line with that rafter, drill some holes up through the bottom of this into the rafter, and then sink some screws. And this would be mounted onto your rafter, and from it, then your tools would go in. Typically rafters are mounted 24 inches on center, so you would mount this one, and then you would mount the second one 24 inches further away so that you can find another rafter, and then you'd have your tool holders mounted in place. So what I'm hoping you can see is that right above me are, on my left, your right, and my right, your left, right above my garage doors, where I have two pairs of these mounted to store, you know, I don't need a pick every day, but the one time a year I need it, I'm glad that I have it, but I don't want it piled up in a corner. And this is the kind of project that with a spare piece of plywood or two, or a minimal investment of, if you didn't have any plywood, you had to go get it. With a very minimal investment, you could get very organized with your hard to organize tools. I hope that you found this video helpful and useful to you. And if you don't mind, while you're here, please like this video if you got something out of it, and consider subscribing to the channel. It would sure be a benefit to help the channel grow. And I appreciate your time. Thanks very much, and take care.